everything, please make sure you like, comment, subscribe, ding the bell for notifications so you won't miss anything involved with the Philadelphia Eagles on this channel. Let's get into it. So going into this draft, I'm like, okay, well, maybe it's either going to be an offensive lineman, a safety. I didn't think wide receiver this soon. I thought it was going to be more like a day 2 pick, that we was going to go wide receiver, and then we was going to have that talk about the AJ Brown situation. But the Eagles had other plans. Howie Roseman had other plans, and we decided to trade with the Dallas Cowboys for the 20th pick for Makai Lemon. He's a dog, 5'11". He is compared to Julian Edelman. He's compared to Steve Smith. He's compared to who else? AJBrown. He's compared to these guys. You know what I'm saying? He's a quick, shifty guy, yak yard guy. He's very physical. He can read zone defenses well, and he can play not just only the slot. He can play outside too. So with the number 1 pick, we picked this wide receiver, which means that this wide receiver is going to start. Think about it. You got Makai Lemon that we just got, Dartavian Wicks that we traded for to the Green Bay Packers, which is rightfully so because Charmaine's the offensive coordinator. Then you got Hollywood Brown that we like, oh, he's a speedster guy. He can open up the field. But then you got Elijah Moore that was supposed to be here. We thought, okay, well, him and AJBrown is friends. But then now, you know, he's a good route runner and all that. We got a lot of good route runners. And I've seen people talking about Devontae Smith, talking about, oh, we are wide receiver by committee now and things like that on Twitter. No, Devontae Smith is a wide receiver 1. Let's not get this misconstrued. He's a wide receiver 1. Nevertheless, let's get back to the topic. Makai Lemon is a dog, which means AJ Brown might be out the door sooner than we think. You know, a lot of art. I ain't gonna say a lot. Some Eagles fans got some hope, but the way this guy, Makai Lemon, I'm talking about, run routes and very dynamic, explosive player. Jalen Hurts need to be in the lab with him tomorrow. Jalen Hurts need to be at 10th and Diamond again with a Makai Lemon tomorrow, just so we can get that chemistry down, man. We're trying to win another Super Bowl. We got Vic Fangio for a year, maybe a couple years left. We really gotta, you know, make this thing happen. You know what I'm saying? You seen them in voluntary practice coming in, and they all smiles. All the players are smiles. Guess who wasn't there? It's very telling that AJ Brown might be out the door. We already got a deal in place. But Howie Roseman had this to say
earlier. That's cool. Yeah, I know. They asked us. They said, "Are you okay with the picks going from 10 to 8?" Yes. Okay.
Howie, as much as you can, it looked like Makai was on the phone with Pittsburgh. How did that whole situation unfold?
You know, when we get on the clock, we immediately try to contact the player. It took us a couple minutes to contact the player and get him on the phone. You know, that hasn't happened very often. So the clock got down a little bit lower than we would have liked, but we were able to get in touch with him and obviously select him.
Did you think that the Steelers were taking him there, and that's why you moved up?
We just felt like this was a player that we wanted to go up and get, just based on where our board was at that time, where we were picking. Just felt like it made a lot of sense based on our board. And obviously, when you have a player that you like, that's ranked higher on your board than where you're picking, you think at every pick that he's going to be selected. You know, that's just the way the draft is. You think everyone's thinking the way that you are. And so certainly for us, we didn't want to sit on our hands. We wanted to go get him. And so that's why we made the trade.
What do you like about him?
He has a lot to like about him. You know, competitor, has the ability to separate in man coverage, out of the slot. He can play outside. Physical player, really good with the ball in his hands. Really good hands, good in zone coverage, has really good instincts.
In light of the recent report from ESPN that a trade with you and the Pats will be likely June 1 with AJBrown, what does this draft pick do to that inevitability, or is it not?
Yeah, I think for us, again, AJ's a member of the Eagles. We don't have any trades that have been made or that are done. And I think for us, we're taking this one day at a time. We're going to look to improve the team tomorrow, and we'll continue to address anything that we have to with our roster, not only through this draft weekend, but, we'll continue to look for ways to improve the team throughout the offseason and as we get into training camp.
I mean, and rightfully so. He has every right to talk like this because he still is an Eagle. He's going to leave us in the dark. But this is very telling. Now, like I said, I'll play advocate and say, okay, well, what if AJBrown remains an Eagle and these other guys that we traded for and all that, they got to fight for that wide receiver 4 spot? Because it's going to be 4 wideouts. It was supposed to be 2 tight ends, but it's going to be 4 wideouts. Keon Sadiq is a Jet. A lot of people were mad that Keon Sadiq is a Jet, but nevertheless, I'm happy with the pick. Now, would I rather went defense? Of course I would have. I would have got the guy from Toledo. I would have got the guy that has a group message with Quinyon Mitchell. I would have got that guy. But nevertheless, I'm not Harvey Roseman. So we got to trust in Harvey Roseman. We know that this is a decent pick. We know that this can help out the offense a lot. Just let me know what y'all guys think in the comments. Right now, as we speak, I don't know if AJ is going to be here or not, but if AJ is not here, I thank you in advance for the 4 years that you put in for us and the 2 Super Bowls that you helped us get to. I thank you for breaking records and doing all that. You will always be in the Hall of Fame of the Philadelphia Eagles and everything like that. But we can no longer sit up there and take up for you with your shenanigans and everything like that you're trying to pull. You don't get on a Jakey Rondo. Shout out to Jakey Rondo. You don't get on there and talk about, hey, if you got me on fantasy, don't draft me or trade me or release me because I'm not going to get the ball. You don't say that mid-season. You don't do things like that. It's very toxic. Very toxic. And I know that the organization talked to them about it. But he continued to be that way to the point where he's allowing the public in to the locker room. And that's not how Harvey Roseman, Jeff Lurie, and all them work. That's just the reality of it. Yes, he could have told the truth about the offense because we didn't like the offense as a fan base, but at the same time, this is what you get. Now you fast forward, we're looking for wide receiver depth. We're looking for wide receivers, period. And then I get the news that, the Eagles traded up 3 picks with a division rival in the Dallas Cowboys. And little do you know, we pick a wide receiver. Now, a lot of people on TikTok and all that is comparing him to Nelson Aguilar because he went to USC, and they comparing him to Rager. I don't think this guy is hungry. You can hear it here.
I'm being a first-round pick coming to the Eagles. I just want to ask you, how much pre-draft interaction did you have with the Eagles, and did you make a visit here as part of the top 30 process?
Yes, sir. I had a meeting with them at the Combine, and then I had a top 30 visit with them. But everything, went great. It was super genuine. It was great vibes. So I'm definitely blessed to be here.
Just curious for Eagles fans, can you kind of describe what kind of receiver they're going to be getting with you?
Yeah, they're going to get, somebody that come in and wants to compete, at a high level. And, a dog, somebody that's just going to do, anything that the organization, needs me to do at a high level. Just playing for one of my one of my teammates, each and day in and day out, just leading by example and just being the best, player and person that I can be each and every day.
Sorry. If you look at the team you're joining, Makai, what do you think of, Jalen Hurts and the offense, and what do you know about that group?
Man, an organization, that is a winning program, great guys, on the team, that I can learn from, great vets, especially, Smitty, Hurts, especially on the offense and, great defense. So, I'm super, pumped, to come in, add what I can do as a player, and they're going to get everything that I got. And I'm just, super excited, to be a part of this, great organization.
Guy is a dog, man. I'm trying to tell y'all, he's a dog, and I feel like that he knows. He knows. If you heard what he said, I am anxious to play, and I'm just paraphrasing. Anxious to play with Jalen Hurts and Devontae Smith. This is what he said. He didn't say nothing about AJBrown. They already know like what's going on, bro. Just like Twitter was ahead of the draft, just with the picks and everything like that. They know that AJBrown is not going to be in the building anymore. They already know. They already know. It was a good 4-year run. Let me know what y'all guys think in the comments, man. I'm about to get out of here, man. Fly, Eagles, fly. Go Birds.